Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone? So I'm going to wait a bit for notifications to go out. I know that this is a crazy busy time of year for most people. It seems like this time of year and the holidays are the busiest for everybody. And I am drinking out of my Hall mug this morning. I had offered this one up for sale without testing it, but it feels so fancy. It feels so fancy drinking out of it because it's gold. It's white on the inside, but it's a Hall Irish coffee mug. Of course, mine is not Irish coffee. Good morning, Angela. Angela, did you come to see the hat pins? I did some research. I'm going to talk about them. I still have absolutely no idea how to price them. I'm not even cleaning them. I'm not going to try. But I did learn some really cool stuff. Good morning, Apple. So I am going to show them off today. And I had known that they were used to defend women, but I didn't, I got more info on all of that and why they were banned over 8 inches or 9 inches, depending on which article you read, in both the US and England. Did you? I missed that one. If I had known you did that, I would have watched that last night. Because I have no idea how much of my information is correct because of, it coming off of the internet. Did you guys get a notification or did you just pop on because you knew I was going live? Because I'm just wondering. I mean, we've only got 3 people in here. That is just really odd for my Wednesday morning. Okay, so notifications went out. Weird. Maybe people stayed up too late last night watching the fireworks. I didn't go to see any fireworks, but one of the neighbors, because all of the houses surround a very large pond in a horseshoe shape here in this neighborhood. So you look out our back door and you're looking at this gorgeous large pond. And so we had 2 different neighbors were setting off fireworks, one quite close. So did get to see a firework. But I didn't go anywhere. My parents had actually gone to Findlay and spent the 3rd with my uncle, who's a veteran, and he hosts a veterans dinner out at the fairgrounds. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on, and then fireworks. So they got to see fireworks. All right, so let's talk about hat pins first, because so excited. So my niece, I didn't get to go out sourcing this weekend because fibromyalgia flare-up, super fun. And good morning, Monica. And so it was also flea market. At the flea market that I love to go to, I had missed that it was flea market. And so my niece, who was already over in that direction, because she'd also gone to farmer's market that morning, FaceTimed me as she goes through flea market. I'm kind of glad I didn't go because there were like less than half the tables that are normally there. And I think it was just because 4th of July was coming. This was Saturday, 4th of July weekend. And so people just weren't there. But she FaceTimed me as she walked through. And the first thing that she saw was a hat pin holder. And it was this one made in Austria. And I knew the gold was worn and I didn't care because it's so pretty. And it says O and EG Royal Austria. And that sounded familiar to me, but I couldn't remember. So I looked it up. They were in business between 1899 to 1918 and then went out of business. So this is 100% an antique. This business no longer produced after 1918. So really pretty hat pin holder. And I actually don't have one. I have a couple of hat pins over there, but I use old shakers for my hat pins. So this one is 4.5 inches tall. And I bought it for sale, but I knew that it would fit into my bedroom colors if it didn't sell. So I was fine with picking this up. And then she picked me up a couple of pieces of glass I've got to wash. She picked me up a Siamese cat planter that I've got to clean. She didn't bring me the stuff until last night. And then I've still got to wash this too, but she also got me a vintage tablecloth. Super pretty. So she picked me up some good things, and I was glad since I couldn't go out and source. And then she FaceTimes me back like 15 minutes later, and she was at a garage sale that had this. Now, she paid up for this, but I thought it was worth it and told her it was probably worth it. So she picked it up, and then I had to do some research. So I absolutely cannot find this hat pin holder online. I cannot. I have tried every kind of picture. It comes apart, and I'll take the hat pins out and show you at the end that it comes apart. And it's not marked with anything on the bottom. So I couldn't find any information about this. But look how tall it is compared to this one, which I thought was interesting. So then I did some research on hat pins. So Angela can correct me in the chat if I got anything wrong. But, and I didn't write everything. I read down just a few things. So they were used from the early 1400s. And it's interesting to look at historical art and see hat pins like on a vanity table or hat pins stuck in a hat. I thought that was pretty cool. And then they had a renewed popularity in the 1890s in both England and the US. So due to the Industrial Revolution, women began moving about in public unchaperoned, because before that, you didn't go anywhere without your aging auntie or your brother, or even a stable hand would be assigned to go with you. Women did not go anywhere by themselves. But the Industrial Revolution, a lot of women started working and walking about by themselves. And so the hat pin became a woman's weapon of choice. And then for suffragettes, they tried to ban them in England first, and women in America started wearing them in solidarity with their English sisters, and then they tried to ban them here too. So they come in a variety of lengths, but could be up to 14 inches long, is what I read. And then by the 1910s, both the US and England had imposed strict laws about hat pins. And they had to be, I read 9 inches, couldn't be more than 9 inches in one, and then one I read it couldn't be more than 8 inches. So I don't know if the difference was between the countries or if the article was just wrong. I did read one article that said if you had a special permit, you could carry one that was over 9 inches, but it didn't give any more information than that one single statement. And I couldn't find that anywhere else in what I was reading. So then during World War I, hat pins were viewed as an extravagance, and the materials used to make them were redirected toward the war effort. And we know in the 1920s, women started bobbing their hair, hairdos became much shorter, much lower, because before you'd have this teased hair, and then your hat would sit on top of it. Your hat pin would kind of weave through it. So, because somebody's like, how did they not stick that into their head? Well, you had a lot of volume up here. Kind of, like the 80s when we had a lot of volume up here, except then you'd slap a great big ornate hat over it. And so then hat pins fell out of use. Now, they were still made for years. They were made smaller. Yeah, or they had to be capped. And women would refuse to cap them. I saw some went to prison or went to jail because they refused to cap their hat pins and refused to pay the fine for not capping their hat pins, and went to jail instead as a form of protest. I had one. No, it has rolled away. Oh, no, there it is. It's probably from the 1950s because of the size of it. So, yeah. So it's not very long. So probably from the 1950s. And then sometimes you'll see stick pins that are shorter, and those were most often worn by men to put in like a cravat. Is that how you say that? Or any kind of neckerchief, anything that went around the neck. So they're shorter and more masculine, according to the one article I read. So I pulled out some that look kind of like some of the pictures that were positively identifying them, and kind of dated them. So I'm going to show you. But the one article I said always assume that your hat pins are reproductions, and then examine the hat pin to make it prove to you it's not, which I thought was kind of just a good attitude about it. Good attitude about everything in general that's vintage. Assume that it's a reproduction, and then do the deeper discovery to decide if it is or not. So the first one, and I love this one I'm probably going to keep, is this one. And one thing, the article that said when you're identifying the antique hat pins, length, if it's long enough, that's a good indicator. If it has some bends because it was used, that's a good indicator. So I'll show you some that I think are probably antique because of their length and because of their wear. Although people making repros have been known to age them. But I love this one with this ball. It also said that if the hat pin isn't balanced or isn't light enough to sit on your head, probably a repro. This one could be a repro because it is heavy and would unbalance your hat. It's 7 inches long, but it does have a bend in it, slight bend in it. So I don't know, but I think it's super cool. This is metal. Probably be keeping this, but I did find some examples of this that said they were 1920s to 1930s. So I don't know, but love that one. And then I showed you the shorter one, and that was identified as just a plain mid-century hat pin. And I do have some of those. And then the working girl hat pins also looked very simple, but they were much longer. So these were your everyday hat pins. These are the ones you would wear around the house to do, or around the neighborhood to do your errands, or these are the ones you would wear out of the house if you were headed to work. And by working girl, they meant women that were working in the workplace, not prostitutes. Although Maybe prostitutes also did. I don't know. But they're most typically glass, and these do feel like glass. And they are uneven, which makes me think that they are authentic. They are 2 different sizes. So the longer one is 7 inches and the shorter one is 6. So working girl hat pins. And then, let's see. I found one that looked a lot like this, and it said 1930s to 1940s. So it's got this black bead. And hat pins could be made out of any kind of material. So made out of simple metals all the way up to gold metals for the, good morning, Beth, for, you know, the very rich elite people. The beads could be made out of all kinds of different things, including plastic. Good morning, Maria. Bakelite, rhinestones. I'd love to get my hands on some of the pretty rhinestone ones. Sequins, they're just all kinds of stuff. So this one, maybe 1930s, 1940s, and 7.5 inches. So all of these are not antiques. This was after the law was passed where hat pins could not be super long. Now I found some interesting ones that when I picked them up, I'm like, those look like buttons. And in fact, they look like military buttons from Canada. Sorry, guys, my voice. So this one says 48 Highlanders. Good morning, Feeding My Soul. 48 Highlanders. And then this one says Canada Militia. And when I looked this up, they were made from buttons, military uniform buttons. And, you know, if you had a loved one serving in the military, you could take one of his buttons and have it made into a hat pin. This one's a little over 7 inches. And this one is a little over 8 inches. So 7 and 8 inches on these two. They seem authentic. I don't know. But it's interesting because one of these buttons by itself sold for more than $6, just a single button. So I guess the buttons themselves have some historic value. But that was cool. And it wasn't just Canada that did that. It was the US that did that. It was England that did that. Yeah, I saw that. You could only buy them on January 1st and January 2nd. It's very cool. So there were 2 of those military button ones in there. And then this one could be Victorian, but also could be a repro in the 1950s. But it is the style of the Victorian ones. And it has got a lot of age on it. It was very well loved and used often. And this one's under 8 inches also. So I don't know about the age on this one, but it is an example of what a fancier Victorian one would have looked like. Good morning, Roxana. Angela, I'm going to make you a mod. And if you want to put that link right into the chat. So if you want more info, Angela did talk about hat pins on a brocante and bergamot. And I absolutely love that show. I lurk a lot in the background while I'm getting things done, but I missed the one about hat pins. So she'll pop it in there. I will try to remember to pin it later after the sale. And you guys should check that out if you want more info on the hat pins. Okay, so I showed you all the ones that I was kind of able to identify. And then I will just show you these. All of these are under 8 inches. This one looks like a shell. And I don't know if it's a real shell or a fake shell, but There's the shell one. And then these two just have beads. And also it said that you would have, sometimes you would use two, and you know, they would be identical ones, and you'd put them in opposite sides so then you could see on either side of your hat. So that might have been used as a set. Got this one, and this bead feels plastic to me on this one. This one, someone's taken the bead off, and it was marked sterling silver. So there's a plain hat pin. How disappointing that someone removed the sterling silver bit from the pin. And then just 3 black beads. I think those are probably glass. And then I do have some longer ones. So this one is more than 12 inches long. And it does have the wear where it looks like it would have been in a hat. The bead on top, whatever it's made out of, does have a crack in it. I don't know. But super long on that one. These are just the coolest, you guys. And then, oh, I had one more of those. Oh no, this one, just a touch over 9 inches. You'd have gone to jail for that one. But black glass bead, just simple bead. This would have been one of the ones you wore when you headed out to work in the factory during the Industrial Revolution. With your fancy hat on, your plain hat because it was working hat. This one, look. The pin part without the topper is over 10 inches. And then here's the top. And I don't know what that is. But it has the bends. Seems authentic. So I'm going to go with antique on this one. How cool is that? And if I missed you coming in, hello. We are talking hat pins. Because this find was amazing. Amazing. Okay, this one just at 9 inches. Got another bead on top. Hey, Delbert. And I don't know. It's not glass. It's definitely not glass. It's lighter than that. But there again, the lightness that you could wear this without it being too heavy to be in a hat. And you know what's crazy is those laws are probably still on the books today. Okay, this one's 8.5 inches. Again, you've got a bend in here that seems authentic. And again, I don't know what this material is, but it's definitely not glass. And then I've got a bunch of these that, and I'm going to go with this one being a 1950s because of the sequins, because of the length of it. It's a very short one. But all of these have the sequins and they're very dusty and they're all shorter. I'm thinking 1950s, early 1960s, they were still using them. And I don't know if like the little pillbox hats that like Jackie Kennedy made popular would have used a hat pin, but these feel like 1950s to me. This one, look at that. And it has a shorter pin. I don't know. And it's balanced badly. I would not want that stuck on my head all day. So I don't know. All of these did come from the same person. So I don't know if because I wasn't there, and I don't know if she was a collector or if they've been handed down from family. I have no idea. This one is interesting because it has been broken off. So no sharp point on this one anymore. And I don't know, I have no idea what age on that one, but that is big. Almost as big as the so this one is, look at that. The thing on top is 2 inches. Ooh. And this one is 8 1/4. This one seems more, Victorian to me. It's very pretty. I quite like that one, actually. Here's another one, 1950s, maybe 1960s. This one is missing whatever it had on top of it. So it had a thing. It is now gone. And that one is exactly 8 inches. And I wonder if they counted the inches of the pin length or all the way to whatever you had stuck on top. Probably if you got a cop who was being a jerk, he'd count what was stuck on top too. And then here is another one that I think is one of the working girl ones, but we're at 9 inches with this one. So at 9 inches, still a formidable weapon. And that would be glass on top there. But there were different stories of like one woman stabbed a guy in the heart with one and killed him. And another guy was behind a girl and it stuck him in somewhere in the head. I don't know if it was the neck or the brain, just from sticking through her hat. And then he went into a coma and died within a week. I don't know. But also, there are lots of stories of women defending themselves. Well, Stelber, I was saying earlier, I think before you got here, you had big hair, and then your hat would perch on top of your hair, and you'd kind of weave it through that big hair. And I've watched some of the historical reenactors talk about how, like, was it the Edwardian hair where it came up and over? They would save their hair, and then they would make their own like wiglets, and their own hair would go in a ball here that they had saved from brushing their hair out, and then their hair would go up over it. So you had quite a lot of volume up here to weave that through. So hopefully you weren't I suppose after you did the first time, you wouldn't do it a second time. Ouch. Of course, every time I put a brooch on, stick my finger. I don't learn. Well, and they were talking about, and it's crazy how things do not change. They just don't. So back then, a man that was sitting too close to you, so you're on a wagon pulled by horses to get to work, and you're all squeezed in together onto those benches, and then you've got a masher. They called them mashers sitting next to you, who every time you hit a bump, he's pressed up against you. The whole side of him is pressed up against your whole side. And you just give him a little jab with your hat pin, and he backs off. And then government came along and made him illegal and took our protection away from us, because that's what happens every time. It's illegal to carry your pepper spray. It's illegal to carry a certain length of knife. It's illegal to carry any kind of form of self-defense for women. Don't get me started. Okay, so I've got this emptied now. And here's what it looks like without any of the hat pins in it. So it is up to its pineapple top there, 8.5 inches tall. And what's interesting is it comes apart and you would feed the hat pins through here so they weren't poking out the sides and getting you. And also it would keep them straight, because if your hat pins poked out the sides, they're going to get caught on stuff and get bent. But if you feed them down through one of those 4 holes, they're going to stay there. And I thought it was interesting because smaller, shorter ones were stuck through the sides too. So if you had too many hat pins to go through here, if you filled up your space up here, you could stick the shorter ones through the side and it would still protect them and keep them safe. So I have no idea when this holder was made. It's got nothing identifying on it. I've gone over it trying to find an identifier. There's nothing. And I could not find another single one like this online. So I have no idea. It's very, very cool though. And eventually we'll probably be up for sale because, ooh, took you guys for a ride, because that's not my style. This one would fit in my bedroom. Okay, that was my hat pins. I have hat pins everywhere. If you missed today's coffee cup, I'm drinking out of the Hall coffee cup. This coffee cup is available for sale for $5. If you're interested, let me know. Hall Irish coffee mug, although my coffee is not Irish, just coffee. I did not get to do last week's prompt. And we've got, my daughter is moving and she's given her notice now, and she started packing things up, and she has the whole month to move, but they still have not replaced the other employee at work, and she is the only person working at her location right now. The only person. So she's working crazy hours. The days that she has off, she's exhausted because the district manager has to come in and cover, so she has a day off occasionally. But she's working like 12-hour shifts from open to close. It's just her in the store. So I have been going to Barberton to help her pack, but that is extremely hard on me, having chronic illness, to number one, make that drive, and number two, then to actually be working after I make the drive. So I didn't get to do it. I had a fibromyalgia flare up and I did not get to do it. And I miss it. I miss working in my book. I miss scrapbooking, junk journaling. I haven't done any of it. Haven't had the energy to. But if you've missed it, this is what we are doing this year. But we are keeping it low to no stress and low to no cost. And you can skip the weeks that you don't have the time, energy, whatever for it, and you're still fine. Or 52 weeks, you can do 5 of them. And you did it. You did the thing. Also, while I was helping her pack up yesterday, because that's what I spent my 4th of July doing, driving to help my daughter pack, she was going to throw this painting away. She's like, well, I was just practicing something. It wasn't something I'm like, don't you throw that. I'm keeping that. It's pretty. I'm keeping it. So I came home with a painting. My daughter, the artist. So let's draw our prompt. We've got orange today. Make a page with unusual materials like coins or wire or plastic. So you can get creative. That one's fun. If you missed it, I took part in the Christmas in July shop hop yesterday, and there were just some fantastic sellers taking part in that. All of the sales should still be up. My sale is good through, all the prices are good through the end of the week. So if you want to go back and check that out, there are still things available. But Halen Vintage started us out. And then Beth, Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties. Tim and Jerry, Vintage and Vino, Comfy Cozy Living. That's Michelle. Mary from Ancestral Beginnings. Cody Kempen. Happy Girl Thrift. That's Lisa. And then Nikki, Black Dog Vintage and Antiques. So if you wanted some Christmas in July, but you were busy yesterday, you can go back and you should be able to watch all of those people. Fun, fantastic Christmas items from everybody. And everybody brought something that's just a little bit different from everybody else. So, ow, just stuck myself with a hat pin. So, that is still up. Prices are still good. I am taking part in another one that Beth is hosting next week. Nikki and I are both taking part in that. And then don't forget that Nikki and I have moved Class with Class for this month. We're trying it out. Moved it to Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll see how that goes. Not a lot of people there last night, but also it was a holiday. So I don't know. We will see. And we're keeping it short because then you at 7 want to head over to Angela's channel for Angela and Heather Elizabeth doing Brocant at Bergamot. There's Beth. Okay. So everything that I have today is stuff you've probably seen before, but it's all on sale for 24 hours only. So if you're watching on the replay tonight, it's still on sale through tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning at like 11. Prices are good through Thursday at 11 Eastern. So everything is going to be on sale, and I will tell you what the price was and what the sale price is now. And the first one is going to be the Franciscan Desert Rose Cookie Jar, which has no chips, no cracks. It's pretty amazing. But I know if you are not a collector of Desert Rose Franciscan, it doesn't do you any good. Nice and clean on the inside. Angela, are you talking about... Ooh. Are you talking about this one? It's not really silver. It's more of that, like, I don't know what tone. I think the ring light's washing it out. Let me turn off the ring light. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not silver. But it's also not gold. Okay, so the Franciscan cookie jar. And I do know that these can be harder to find with no chips, no cracks. With the rose still on the lid. No chips, no cracks. This was originally $50. I've marked it down $5 to $45. $45, number 50, for the Franciscan Desert Rose Cookie Jar in immaculate condition. Now let me set that down before I break it. It's also big. It is, with the rose on top, it's like 11 inches and a quarter. And without the lid, it's 9 inches. So it is your, like, that's what I think of when I think of a cookie jar. I know you see smaller jars. I'm like, but is it really? Is it really? It's not big enough. Okay. Let me get to, the Franciscan Rose Piggy Bake. I didn't even know this was a thing that existed. How fantastic is it? Now it is missing its stopper, but no chips, no cracks, and you can see the F right there that shows it's Franciscan. He's adorable. I'm looking to see. I know there were no chips, no cracks. Was there something under the glaze? Yes. There's a spot right here where the glaze is rough. Like somebody put their fingerprint in the glaze. but it's not damaged. This was done during manufacturing. I knew there was something. Look at his little butt, little piggy butt. This was originally $50. Got a $10 markdown for the next 24 hours. $40, number 68. And you can tell what size he is. For the piggy bank that I didn't even know was a thing. And apparently those are kind of harder to find too. Okay. Next up is the Tiffin Glass Compote. Satin glass, Vaseline with uranium. It's gorgeous. No chips, no cracks. It stands almost 5 inches tall, but the bowl of the compote 7.5 inches. And it's got this gorgeous swirl here. It's absolutely stunning, but I do not collect Vaseline glass. If I find a piece that I kind of like, I'll put it in my collection and enjoy it for a couple of months, and then it goes up for sale. Because I just don't. The green is what I like. But this is beautiful. It was originally $50 and it's taking a $5 discount for the next 24 hours. $45, number 20. $45, number 20 on the Tiffin Glass Compote with this gorgeous swirl. Oh, let me get a piece out. Ooh. I don't know why I picked all heavy pieces today. That was poor planning on my part. Okay. The Indiana Glass Blue Carnival Hen on Nest. No chips, no cracks. No manufacturer defect. It is in beautiful condition. I couldn't find any issues on this one at all. Here's the base. Here is the lid. No chippy chips here. No chippy chips here. Not even here. It is so stinking pretty. If you're a fan of the Carnival glass that was produced in the 70s, 60s, 70s. I know some people prefer the antique. My niece collects the vintage instead of the antique. She prefers it, but each their own. Everybody does a little bit something different. And this one is going to be $5 off, so it's $25. It was originally $30. $25. Number 38. This is Indiana glass. Ooh. And I think Indiana glass did the most recognizable hen on nest, in my opinion. If you're my age, you probably grew up with your mom having one sitting right there. Okay, next up. The Hollywood Regency Compote. It is pretty big. Let me give you a height. 9 inches on the height. At its widest point, 10 inches. No chips, no cracks, no, I don't even know how. There's no damage to any of the points here. No damage to any of these points. Bring it all the way back so you can see it. So this is 10 inches across. And here are your cherubs. We know the Hollywood Regency was over the top. I love the style, love to look at it, but I don't like it for myself. Although I am a maximalist, I think it's fun to look at this kind of over the top thing. It also makes me think of like gold toilets in rich people's houses kind of stuff. So this one was originally $25. It is $22. Number one. $22. Number one. I set it carefully back over there so I don't chip it. Whew. That was hard. Okay, next up, the uranium glass apothecary jar. I marked this down $10. It was originally $60. It's going to be $50. No chips, no cracks. This is stretch glass. It's gorgeous. Oh, thanks, Angela. Yeah, I'm still paying for that traveling, so. Uranium. It's beautiful. And it stands 10 3/4 inches tall with the lid. Without the lid, 6 3/4. So gorgeous uranium glass apothecary jar. It was originally $60. Now it's $50. Number 70. Yeah, they're just beautiful, especially in person. Next up, the Marquis Waterford double old-fashioned glass. So it's a nice size. It is engraved on the bottom or acid etched, however they do that. Marquis Waterford. You're not going to be able to see it. But Waterford crystal, very expensive. It is absolutely stunning. And it was originally $30. And that's just what they go for on eBay. $5 off today, making it $25. Number 66. And it's a double old-fashioned, so it's twice as big as a regular old-fashioned glass. And it's beautiful. Waterford crystal. Sorry, it's got condensation from my hand because I am hot. It's going to be 88 here today, but the humidity is kind of high too. Next up, the salt and pepper shakers. I love these. Oh, it was loose. The glass on these is so clear. I don't think they were ever used. And they both have 6 holes. But this is silver plated International Silver Company. Again, this is one of those things where I love it, but it's not my style. I just think it's the coolest thing. And it is $2 off today, so it's going to be $18. It was originally $20. $18, number 24. Angela, hey Bree, I originally did buy it for myself before I knew it was Waterford. I just knew it was a nice crystal, and I'd left it behind the first time because I picked it up at Betty's flea market. I left it behind, and then I kept thinking about it. I was like, that glass is so beautiful, but you don't need another glass, but it's so beautiful. So I went back, and they still had it, and I picked it up, got up front, and got into the light and realized it was Waterford. And I was like, so then I put it up for sale instead of keeping it for myself. Okay, next up, the Gemlight brush and comb, which are in really good condition. I love that design on there. The handle's super pretty. And these were originally $20 for the set, and we figured out most likely had a mirror with it. The mirror is no longer. Was $20, now it's $18. 18, number 10. I just love the ornateness of the brush. Oh, and then lastly, we have the Indiana Glass again, Blue Windsor candy box. And this is the big one. No chips, no cracks. The bowl is 7.5 inches across. So lots and lots of candy gonna fit in here. Super pretty. This one also was originally 20 and today it is 18, number 22. 18, number 22. So if you are watching on the replay and you're interested in something, by all means, you can email me. These prices will be good through tomorrow morning. So through Thursday morning, they'll be good. That was everything I had for sale. Here's our prompt. If you needed the prompt, make a page with unusual materials like coins or wire or plastic. And Angela, we talked about hat pins at the beginning, so if you missed it, I got a whole thing of hat pins in a hat pin holder, and coincidentally I found this hat pin holder right before that. They were not together, but Angela on Brocot and Bergamot did a hat pin segment, and that is pinned at the top there if you want to watch that later and learn some very cool stuff about hat pins. And these will be up for sale maybe next week. Maybe I'll have them up for sale next week. Maybe I'll bundle some in hat pin. I don't know. I have to figure out prices first. So I was hoping to learn a little more about them before I did that. As with anything, I cannot guarantee the authenticity. I'm just a reseller doing their best at research. But, you know, I don't make any promises about what stuff is. I just think it's cool, so I get it, and then I share it with you guys. The other thing I wanted to talk about, you're still hanging out, is shipping. So I, at this point in time, do not charge anything. There's no handling fee. There's no charge on my shipping supplies. I charge you what Pirate Ship charges me. And I swear the hardest part of reselling is not the sourcing, the research, the cleaning, the getting ready for the sale, the doing the videos. None of it. The hardest part is finding a box that fits. That is the hardest part, because I want to protect the item, especially since I sell such a huge amount of glass, but I also want to save you as much money as I can on shipping. Plus, shipping supplies are expensive. Now, I do recycle everything that I can, but I draw the line at sending you trash. So because I ship glass so much, I'm not going to ship anything in like a Cheerios box, because that is not sturdy enough to ship glass. Some of the boxes that friends and family save for me end up being too thin or have been shipped around too many times and the box is starting to break down. And so if the box is losing integrity, I'm not going to use that either. I am also not going to fill a box that is too big for something with unusable trash, which there was a whole Instagram post about it. Hey, Kaz. Because the box was like twice as big as it needed to be, and they just filled it with basically trash. So I'm never going to do that either. So like I had, I needed just a bit smaller box for something, and I went through all of my boxes and I felt like if I had a 10 by 10 by 10 box, it would have fit this item perfectly. I think I was shipping it to Becky, who's in Arizona, because that's the other thing I look at. I'm like, if you're in Arizona, I want your box to be as small as possible while still protecting the item so that you're not going to have to pay a massive amount of money for that item. And so I did not have the right size box. So this box was just like a little bit too long. Well, I realized that I could fit 2 smaller boxes in there. They were real sturdy ones, but they were kind of like flat. I don't even know what came in them. My friend must have something shipped monthly because he always saves a bunch of those for me. But I fit them both in there. She sells on Whatnot, so she may be able to reuse those boxes. They were really good boxes, and then it fit it perfectly. But I was still worried that sending that size box was going to be too big. So yeah, I've done that before, Angela. Or like if I'm shipping crystal and then they bought something that the crystal's going to crush because crystal is heavy, I do a box in a box. But I can't remember how much it weighed, but I put it into Pirate Ship as a 10 by 10 by 10 with a few ounces less because it would have had less packing, and it was the same price. It was the same price. And I also did that with, the bell that I sent Catherine that she bought last week. I really wanted a 6 by 6 by 6 box for this bell. Did not have one. Did not have one at all. And so I played around with different box sizes, put that in there at 6 by 6. It was the same price too. So I stress myself out about the shipping way more than I need to, but also know that I'm working very hard to make sure you're getting the best price when I ship something to you. And that hopefully you can reuse or recycle the items that I've sent to you. Same thing with bubble wrap. I will, like, if the tape sticks to it, I unpack everything very carefully when I order something, and then I save the bubble wrap. But if it's got the tape, I cut off the bits where the bubble wrap was, where the tape was on the bubble wrap. And if the bubble wrap has started to flatten, if there's too many bubbles that are popped, that's going in the trash. Or I'll use it as padding for something else around the item but I am not going, it's lost its integrity. I'm not going to package something in bad bubble wrap either. In bubble wrap that's completely flat. So I work really hard to make sure that you guys are getting the cheapest shipping possible while the item is protected. There's some guys locally that have a store who used to sell glass on eBay and stopped because they're like, well, everything arrived broken. That's a you problem. That's not a post office problem. That's a you problem. You're being cheap on your packing supplies. That's a you problem. Anyway, this is my little thing about shipping. I work really hard to make sure that the item is protected while not forcing you to pay extra for a bigger box or for super heavy packing materials in it, like literal trash. So eventually I'm going to start selling on eBay, and hopefully I will get a good reputation on eBay for shipping too, because there are some people I will never buy from again on eBay. And I stopped buying. There was a 6-week period way before I started reselling where I was buying from shopgoodwillonline.com and had to stop because the way that they packaged stuff was so incredibly. And at first I was just keeping track of the stores that were shipping badly, and I wasn't buying from them because I did get some things that arrived correctly, had been packaged well, but some of the pieces were just smashed to smithereens. Or like I would buy a brooch lot, all the brooches would be in one tiny Ziploc baggie and all damaged when they got here because they were stuffed into an envelope. Like if I sell brooches, they go into a box and they either have the like soft cotton cushioning them in the box, or they have bubble wrap, or they have tissue paper in the box. So they're not just rattling around loose in the box. And then I put it in a padded envelope to send. And if someone's ordered several, it's probably going to go into a box instead of just in a jewelry box into a padded envelope. Some people just ship and don't think about anything, but guys, know that I stress about all of it. I spend way too much time stressing about shipping because I've talked to other people who are like, they get what they get. I just ship it and whatever I've got, they get what they get. I'm like, not me. And I do have, because I can't afford to buy boxes. I can barely afford to buy bubble wrap, but I do buy a lot of bubble wrap. But I have every single family member and friends saving boxes for me. So, oh, I can see I'm pausing up on my second device. Yeah, Monica, I want to be as sustainable as possible, but also I'm selling vintage and antique glass, and it needs to get to you safely, because it's not sustainable if it breaks before it goes to you. So that's why I do recycle everything that people send me. I use it all again, and like my dad gets a lot of packages that have the big bubble. I don't know what those are called, but the big bubbles in them. And I use those a lot because they're lighter than packing paper. And hello, Simpsons Jewelry Channel. And there again, I'm recycling, and it's saving me money and saving the person I'm sending it to money, because air is lighter in there than, yes, air pillows is going to be lighter than a bunch of packing material. So I don't know. That's my little spiel about shipping. Yeah. For a while there, people sent me peanuts. I had to hide them because the cats got them out everywhere. But I haven't had anybody send me peanuts in a long time. But I do send them on, yeah. Oh, thanks, Maria. I definitely try. And it's funny because sometimes I'll find myself packing something that's not glass the same way I would glass. And I'm like, okay, it does not have to be triple packed in bubble wrap. It's not glass. Oh, but that's just because I sell so much more glass than anything else. So funny. Okay. We've been on an hour, so I'm going to let you guys get on with your days. I need to get stickers that say cat hair included. Although I hope that everybody that knows me knows I have cats, because they've seen them. Cat hair gets everywhere, you guys. Try very hard not to send cat hair on, but yeah, I definitely use them if someone sends them to me, but it's not something that I buy. And I go back and forth with my tape too, trying to not send too much tape on things, but I still want them to keep the bubble wrap and be protected. So, and it doesn't matter how hard you try or how much you stress over it. You can't make everyone happy. One person's going to be mad that you used too much new product to send it and you were not being good for the environment. Another person's going to be mad that you recycled stuff and sent them recycled. You can't win. But just know that I really, really am very conscious about how well your package is wrapped and how much it's going to weigh, so that I can save you as much on shipping as possible. That's all I wanted to say. All right, I'm going to get on with my day. I am hoping to go and get my hair cut today. My hair is driving me crazy. Too much of it. So I will see you guys in the chat. Have a great day. And if you didn't see my Christmas in July video, static sale, it is up and you can check that out. Bye, guys.